Hey, welcome to The Feast Life, where we empower you, the modern homeschool mom, to create a life and homeschool you love. I'm Julie Ross, the creator of the award-winning curriculum A Gentle Feast, a homeschool veteran of over 20 years, and a certified Christian life coach. Charlotte Mason said, life should be all living, not a mere tedious passing of time. So on this show, we seek to savor the feast of life. So go get your favorite beverage and pull up a chair. You're welcome at this table. All right, I would like to talk to some of our families because I know you guys really enjoy that and not just hearing from me the whole time. I want to hear from Dana because she is such a beautiful soul.
Thanks, Julie. Hi.
Hi. I'm so glad you're willing to share with us. So don't feel rushed. Again, we have all
That's
the time
okay.
in the world, right?
Of course.
TJ people, it all work out. Just take a deep breath because when we feel rushed and stressed, things don't go well. So, Dana, I would
Yeah.
love to hear about your kids and your journey.
Okay. Our journey. I'm Dana, by the way, and I'm in Texas, and I have two 12-year-old twin girls, and then I have a 9 and 7-year-old boys. So I'm teaching 4 kids. And I guess our journey, it started a little different because it was actually my husband that said we had a homeschool. And I was a public school teacher, and I was like, I don't know about that. And so I wasn't on board at first.
Yeah, I think there's probably other people here who had that. What?
Because I liked school. I liked being a teacher. I really believed that
Yes. And here's a fun fact for everybody. Dana and I went to the same middle school, and we just figured this out last year at the Texas School Convention. So
at the same time,
everybody, because that's just wild and crazy.
At the same time, we were actually in the same math class. Just crazy. So anyway, in Erie, Pennsylvania, of all places. So here I am in Texas. But anyway, yeah, it was so weird, but awesome at the same time. But I was one of those people because I went into teaching and I got my master's in secondary math, science, and technology education. And I really believed that the teacher, an engaged teacher, was going to fix everything. And I believed it in my heart. I believed it in what I did. I taught for several years, 8th grade science, and I loved it. And all that changed when we ended up adopting our girls, and they came home when they were almost 4 years old. And I realized, like, my husband, his inkling to want to homeschool was absolutely true because we needed to learn how to be a family, and we needed to learn I needed to learn how to be a mom, and they needed to learn how to be kids and not go back into an institution. Right. It was a really obvious choice for us at that point in time. And I was like, okay, I want to homeschool. And I was like 100% on board. But of course I went and I set it up just like my traditional school. And I had all the workbooks and the textbooks, and we did worksheets and all that thing. And so we did the traditional way of but at home homeschooling for 4 years. And what I started noticing was that it became a battle. And so this like idea of it helping our relationship and helping this bonding and attachment and all these things that we needed to have happen, it was actually like getting in the way. And it was really hard. And it was like me against the kids and the kids against me. And it was just breaking my heart. And I'm like, and we weren't retaining things, and things just
I felt that too. Yeah.
It was horrible. And I was dreading doing school. And I knew we needed something different. And God put people in my life at that time, and it's amazing. And Tanya Hood, you're on this call, and I love you, girl.
That's so fun.
So her husband, I didn't even know Tanya yet. She's one of my very best friends now, but her husband was teaching my girls Sunday school, and he was like, hey, your girls said that they're homeschooled. And he's like, you guys do Charlotte Mason? And I was like, no, but we're looking for something different. I don't even know who that is, but I want to look into it. And then I started like looking at what she wrote, and I was like, oh my goodness, this woman was amazing. And she just spoke to my educator heart, but she spoke to like my mom heart. And I was like, this is what I want for my kids. I want them to grow like a whole kit, like the spirit and the heart, and not just in knowledge, that's the philosophy I came from, was know the knowledge and then you'll get better. And so anyway, after that, I was like, okay, I want to pursue this, but it's so different than traditional school. And I was so scared to do it. And I'm like, okay, how do I do this? And thankfully, there was a convention that Julie was going to be at in Austin and Round Rock. And I went there and I went to all your classes and I sat in your booth for probably an hour, like looking through the material. And I'm like, okay. And I go to my husband and I'm like, I think this is the direction we need to go, but I'm really scared. And he looked at me and he was like, Dana, let's do it. Do it for a year. And if it doesn't work, we've just lost a year. And he said, we haven't really lost it because they're going to learn something. But I'm like, okay. So it gave me the confidence.
You have a very good husband, Dana. That's very supportive.
I know, it's really great. And I was like, and I'm so blessed by that. And so it was like, it gave me the confidence that I needed though to jump in. And so we jumped in and it was just like, and things took off and the battles stopped. And not that my kids are like, woohoo, school, but they love reading and they love reading good books and they love the discussions. And it's just a world of difference. And like the atmosphere of our home has changed. I feel like Charlotte Mason's changed me more than anything else because I'm like,
absolutely 100%. Yep.
I feel like I'm a better mom because of it. And my kids are benefiting from that because of the atmosphere of our home has changed. We are getting those habits in. It's hard, but it's happening and it's just so good. And they're making connections that they weren't making before. They're learning like a deeper kind of learning. I'm not telling them what they need to exactly learn. And our exams are now it's so wonderful. Instead of my kids failing these exams or not getting it, it's like they get to tell me what they like and what they know and what they remember. And it's not this, oh, you didn't know all these other things. So you obviously didn't learn. And they get to tell me what they learned. And it's so good because my girls since then, we have found out that they're on pretty profoundly dyslexic, dysgraphia. We've got dyscalculia. We got all that and auditory learning disabilities. And so we've got a lot of things that we're struggling with, but they're able to tell me what they know and they're excited about that. And it's so good for their confidence because we need to build that up. And so it's just been really great. So we tweak and we do different things, but A Gentle Feast has really been like the backbone and the groundwork, and it helps us along and it helps me be able to do it. So it's been great.
Oh my gosh, Dana, thank you so much. Everyone is thanking you in the chat for sharing. You're just have such a wonderful heart. And I just love that even though your kids may have these special gifts, right? And opportunities to grow. And the fact that, did you mention that they were adopted?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure people got that, like that you were working on this attachment with them and all these things, and that this allows that to happen and allows them to shine and build confidence in what they are good at. And we're talking about like the role of the teacher and the role of the student. And so Dana and I'm just gonna share the story. So Dana and I were in the same math class in 8th grade, and we were like in this advanced algebra class where you basically had to teach yourself algebra and it was self-paced. And then as fast as you could go, you could keep going. Why anyone thought that was a good idea? Again, the traditional school mindset, they love to experiment on children because the way publishing companies make money is by changing what they're doing every 5 years. And so we were in this like experimental math class, and one day my teacher said to me, Julie, do you think you're stupid? And I was like, I don't think so. Like I just had asked her a question because I really didn't understand it. I was still trying to figure out. And that experience like affected my view of myself as a learner in math till I was 40 something years old. And so like we have such a gift that we're giving our children in the power of the words that we're saying to them and then building their confidence. If I could have gone into that math class, like you're saying, Dana, and be like, this is what I know. I know these things. And then the teacher was like, oh, wow, you know those things? That's fantastic. And then I could build upon that rather than constantly every day being shown all the things I don't know. Like that would have been so life-changing, right?
Yeah.
And you're going to give that gift, and you are giving that gift to your kids. That's so huge and will definitely change them as people. Thank you so much for sharing. You are amazing. And yes, I'm so grateful. Yes, I love hearing everybody's stories. It's so neat. And again, like everyone, and I hope that this is why I wanted people to come on and talk, because everybody's path doesn't look the same. Some people like Jamie yesterday just dived into the deep end. We're doing it all. And here we go. I'm throwing all this away and we're doing this. And then like Tammy and Stephanie today were like, we're just going to start small and we're going to work our way in. And we're going to do these few little subjects and see how it goes and go from there. And then hearing Dana's story of I was a teacher, it's in the Facebook group, Jamie and Tammy both put, I don't know if you saw this, that their reoccurring stress stream is that they have to go to class and they don't know what's on the class or something like that. That is literally my stress stream too. Like when I am stressed, I have this nightmare. I'm in college and I get to the exam and I don't know what's on the test. Like, do you realize how much that affects you? That is still at 47 in my nervous system, that I'm in college and I'm taking a test and I don't know it, like the stress of not knowing something. And it didn't even occur to me until they put that in the Facebook group of, oh my goodness, wow, that's still so real to me, that is coming out in my like dreams all the time. Today's episode is brought to you by A Gentle Feast. A Gentle Feast offers a complete living books curriculum, an award-winning early reading program, and more tools to equip you to apply Charlotte Mason's timeless philosophy into your modern homeschool. Go to agentlefeast.com to check it out. Smooth and easy days are closer than you think. So Sarah, a lot of you I can see in the chat know you from our Facebook group and all the wonderful help that you give to so many people, and probably from Instagram too, if you want to share your Instagram handle, because I know it's different than your name. If you follow Sarah, it's kindled togetherness, right?
Kindled togetherness, but that's not why I'm here.
So I know, but like people might know who you are, not by your name, but like from Instagram for that. But yes, we love you. So what we've been talking about this week is like the traditional path of our modern educational system, and then choosing to do the gentle path and follow a Charlotte Mason approach. So I would just love to hear like your homeschool journey. Tell us about your amazing boys, their ages, and then just your process and journey of going along this different path.
Yeah. So I have 3 sons and they are 11, 9, and 7. And I'm really grateful that I did get to start from the beginning with them. And I heard about Charlotte Mason actually while in college, which I feel like is somewhat unusual, but I was an education major and they had us do research on the different philosophies of education and then write like a thesis. It was my final capstone piece. And I chose Charlotte Mason because I stumbled across her work and I was like, this is it. This is like the culmination of, and here I was going to school to be a public school educator. Yeah. So I wasn't even thinking about homeschooling, but I just loved her ideas. And I felt like it was so, it's very idealistic. I think we have to be careful.
That's a good point. Yep.
I was so young when I came across it and I was like, oh, yes. A cottage school. My children are going to, prance through the flowers. Yes. And then I had 3 boys and they like are at the table and just keeping it real.
Like, yeah, girl.
So yes, I post beautiful pictures of our days and our days are really beautiful, but what we read about and what we hear about, and I feel like so often it's in our face, the beauty of the Charlotte Mason method it's very hard to show people the real day-to-day crux of it, which is sloppy and messy, and a lot of times the beauty is like a blip on the screen. Yes. And you have to be able to like stay the course and keep the beauty in your heart and your mind, because what you're offering your kids is beautiful. It's a build upon. It's not going to be every minute of every day. Having an 11-year-old is wrecking my world. We were foster parents for many years and we had preteens and we had so I should be ready, but I'm not.
No such thing. That's it.
Having my own son at 11 is not questioning the Charlotte Mason method, because I have really seen how starting with him from 5 or 6, using a gentle feast literally out the door. At 6 years old, we started with a gentle feast. It worked for us. Setting up a rhythm to our days that kind of followed the flow of what a gentle feast puts out, that we have a beauty loop, that we start with some kind of gathering in the morning together. And then moving into the different subject areas and making sure we're staggering. Are we doing math? And then we're doing something beautiful and different with a different part of our brain. But having an 11-year-old, I just want to put that out there if anybody, because I feel like that's where I'm at. And I have to keep reminding myself, this is worth it. This is worth staying the course, even when the days are messy. Even you just mentioned for a moment how when learning's set up a certain way and when we're constantly, filling up our days and our children aren't getting solitude, that maybe they'll lose that love of learning. I do see that is easy to fall off balance with our kids.
100%.
As somebody who runs a nature co-op and we go 2 days a week outside for 7-8 hours, what does that mean for all of our other subjects? It means that we're not doing them but 3 days a week. So I've had to completely rethink. Am I squashing 4-day schedule into 3 days? No, I'm not. I've just changed that our week moves into the next week. So if we're on week 1, we do day 1, day 2, day 3, and then the next week we're on day 4. And like, it's okay to make this work for your children and for your lifestyle. And that's why I love A Gentle Feast, Julie. I feel like I've told you this before, but what I have looked and looked at the other Charlotte Mason curriculums, and there are some amazing other ones out there. I've checked out the Alviary over and over again because everybody raves about it. And so I'm like, let me go look again. Hey, can you give me your password so I can peek for a minute? And I go in and it does look good. But every other Charlotte Mason curriculum that I've looked at really deeply doesn't feel like it gives me the flexibility that I feel like I have with A Gentle Feast, where it's so simple to be like, oh, I want to move this schedule around. Oh, I want to trade out this book. It's been kept in such a way that you can make it yours and you don't feel behind when you do that. So anyway,
okay, I'm glad you don't feel behind. That's really important. Thank you so much for saying what you have said. Can everyone give it up for Sarah Ruth? Yes. I know that. Raise your hand if you need to hear that today. Okay. Because I think we can have this idyllic impression, and I really try hard not to give that, but it's so hard. It's so hard because you read for the children's sake. It's just so beautiful and lovely. And you're like, yes, this is it. And then there's days where I'm like hormonal and I'm angry and I'm crying and my kid didn't do this and this got all spilled all over the floor and the cable guy's ringing the doorbell and I'm like, what's going on? And to realize like that's the life, right? Is they're learning in the context of actual real life. I used to think too that I would be like Marmee and Little Women and we would just all sit around and crochet and talk about like big ideas and my kids would write plays and act them out, which they do actually do that part because we're very like musical theater family, but it does not look like Little Women most of the time, right? There are a few little moments where I'm like, yes. And like you're saying, take those little blips and celebrate that and the joy and see the seed that is now starting to sprout in your children. But there is no like, and I think that's really key because some people, they're like, okay, like I'm doing the Charlotte Mason method and my kid doesn't want to do this. Okay, yeah, your kid's still human. It still happens, right? And actually, I would say that because this is a different way, especially if they've learned differently, and this is hard, it does take a lot of mental effort to do self-education. So even like your kids have been doing it for a long time. I'm sure you still come in contact with that as well.
Oh, yeah. And I would say, so you get mixed information. So this is just my opinion and what I've seen work in my family. But depending on the child, when they're giving that kickback, you have to assess in multiple places.
Yep.
Is this an issue of habit formation? Is my child right now being a lazy learner? And I know we don't love the word lazy, but I do think we're humans. Sometimes we just want the easy way. So I
do, and I'm 47.
Yes. So I have a mental checklist. Is my child having a breakdown right now because the work is too hard? Okay, then I need to make an adjustment. I need to give them a break. Is my child having a mental issue or a frustration or upset because they have not built this habit or the habit is out of balance right now. And so we need to push through and I need to remind them of what God's word says and why we're working hard and that this will produce fruit in their life. So some people will tell you if your child's crying, stop everything, run the other direction and take them for a walk in the woods. Yes, sometimes you should. My thought process is if my child is upset or pushing back a lot on something, it's time to pause and assess me. I don't have to tell my kid I'm pausing. I can send them to the bathroom or whatever, or tell them I need to go to the bathroom. It's a time for me to take a second and reflect. It doesn't necessarily mean we have to, I guess I want to kick back on I have heard a big narrative of if your kid's not loving everything you're doing, and if they're not happy at every turn in their lessons, then you're doing it wrong. And I disagree. Not every child is going to love I love my job. but I don't love everything about it.
Yeah.
And there are parts of it that are irritating and grinding to me, but I just have to do it. And I tell my kids that all the time, especially with an 11-year-old. I'm like, son, I'm sorry you don't like what you're doing right now, but it is required of you and it's just part of life. And I need you to put forth maximum effort and you'll be done in 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's the other thing too with the short lessons. I love that you there's a time limit. This isn't going to go on for all eternity here. Can you do your very best for 5 minutes? Okay. 10 minutes. Yes. Now, sure, I can do that. So it's not like you're requiring them to work hard and push all the time. And again, that's why these conversations are so important, because it is nuanced. But we love systems. Julie, can you give me a checklist of, so when my child does this, I know that this is what's wrong and I can fix it. And that's not how it works.
No.
And again, it's just going back to, okay, what are Charlotte Mason's principles? What does she say about children? What does she say about me as a teacher? And being led by the divine teacher and figure out the nuance there. So do you have any closing thoughts for anybody who maybe is like considering this path or has maybe been homeschooling for a while and is just
I would just say, I personally think reading Charlotte Mason's volumes slowly is probably your best bet. I know it's hard and I know Julie has for the children's sake. So reading it more quickly and pairing it with some of Charlotte Mason's own words and less social media and more of actually learning the method on your own. So not that you can't have mentors or people that you're gleaning from, but I don't do it perfectly. I have adapted it for my family. And in order for you to internalize and apply the things that are good from what she has shared, you've got to read it. So I'm a big fan of suggesting put one of her volumes in your purse or in your bag, your diaper bag. And when you're at the park, read a paragraph or two and then put it away and just, that's that solitude thing. Think on it. It'll get in your heart and you'll find that you're naturally using it with your children. Internalizing her ideas. If you like an idea that Miss Mason presented or Julie has presented, or it's going to be about you reading it and then you thinking on it. And then you start to find that it's working its way into your everyday life.
Yeah, 100%, because it's not standardized. And so you do need to take the principles and do the hard work of your own self-education of working them out in your particular family. And so thank you so much for saying that. That is so key. I know there's so many people that need to hear that. And thank you for sharing your story and your journey with us. I appreciate you. And Sarah, but I want you to hear from one more person who is just the most adorable, who moderates the Facebook group. So you probably have seen her in there talking as well. Hey, April Ann.
Hey, how are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. I'm very happy to be here.
So can you tell us about your family and your kids? And I know like their ages and all of that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have 7 kids, 21 all the way down to 5, and we have always homeschooled. So my son is 21 and he graduated a couple years ago, and my second graduates in a week and a half. So super exciting, super busy time with all the graduates. Yeah. And so next year for school, I'll have a junior, an 8th grader, a 6th grader, a 3rd grader, and a fresh kindergartner. Wow. So next year, all the forms.
You are amazing. So you have always homeschooled. What has like your journey been like? Did you follow a more of a traditional path, or have you always done Charlotte Mason?
So my first year or two, I really got stuck in the rut of school at home looked like school, just in a different location. And we had a schoolroom and we had a globe and we had a thing of pencils and a flag and an apple on my desk. And because I thought that's what it had to be and that's what I was chasing. And then somewhere along the lines, and I really don't remember when, I learned about Charlotte Mason, but I had a lot of misunderstandings about what Charlotte Mason education was. And so being a more relaxed person, I thought if I shoot for classical education, then maybe I'll land at Charlotte Mason, because I incorrectly thought
I've actually heard that before.
Yeah, that's what I've always told people, because I just always thought like Charlotte Mason's just gentle classical education. And come to find out so many years into it now, a few years ago, I learned they're totally different. Like they're not even the same thing, except for they're both educational philosophies, but they're very different. Yeah. And so we did classical education for a couple of years, and then I slowly tiptoed my way into the Charlotte Mason world. And now where we're at now, that we're finishing our 7th year with a gentle feast. If anybody else has been around that long,
yeah, I say you're the OG girl. You're the OG.
yeah, 7th year with the gentle feast. So moving into our 8th year, which is just amazing. And I used to be what I would call a curriculum jumper. I would use something for a year at best, sometimes a semester, and I would go, oh, I don't like this anymore. I don't like this anymore. And so I feel like I've used everything. And so for me to be at a place where I've used one thing for that long is like huge. So
that
yeah.
is so you mentioned like tiptoeing into Charlotte Mason, which is so cool because it's been so neat having all of you guys on this week to hear different people's stories. And so then there's like people that are like, I just took the big leap and I just jumped all in and we're doing everything here. And then there's like, I like tiptoe. What did that tiptoeing look like for you? Can be a little bit more specific there?
Yeah, so the year that we transitioned from what we were using to using a gentle feast, I had spent a ton of my husband's money on this one particular curriculum, which I will not name. Yeah. Oh, this is it. This is the one, honey. This is the one we're going to use for all of the kids' education. It's perfect, is exactly what I'm looking for. And then I got about a quarter of the way into the school year and went, this is horrible and not at all like what I thought. It was supposed to have the kids at different levels learning the same things. And I loved that family cohesion that it was supposed to provide, except for that was not there. And it was tons of worksheets, all of these ongoing projects that were supposed to last for years. And my brain was like, no, this is not even close to what I thought it was. And so I essentially put a Charlotte Mason spin on that book list because I had already spent all this money. So I spent a whole lot of money for a book list and spent the next 3 quarters of our school year reading. Most of them were good living books, but I threw a couple out. I took a Charlotte Mason bent on that and I started using narration. Oral, it was all oral narration at that time because of the ages of my children. And it just made a huge difference. From my perspective, I watched myself have peace about homeschool. I watched myself wake up in the morning excited about not only reading to my children, but hearing back from them what it was that was connecting with their hearts. And I felt like that next school year, so those next 3 quarters, if you will, we weren't doing terms yet. Now we do terms, but those next 3 quarters of their education, I just felt like I knew my children better than I had known them prior to that. And that was one of the main reasons we homeschooled, was because we wanted to create a family culture where we knew each other and we spent time together and we feasted on beautiful things. And so coming to Charlotte Mason and eventually coming to a gentle feast allowed that with such ease. And I've said it before and I'll say it again. A gentle feast was a balm to my very weary mother soul. So yeah, we don't do everything that you have planned because I just couldn't with that many kids. But that's one of the things I appreciate about a gentle feast. It is so flexible and it's so easy to go, you know what, we're not doing that. Or you know what, I'm going to put both of you guys together for history because one's in this form and one's in that form. And I would rather manage one history than 4 or whatever. It is one of the most flexible and forgiving curriculums I think that I've ever used.
Oh, I really appreciate you saying that because that was my heart when I made it.
Yes. It's been life-giving. It's truly been life-giving to me and to my family.
Yeah, and I really want people to hear this because I love that you didn't just be like, I bought all this stuff and now it's not working. And so I'm just going to put it on a shelf and go do something else. Like I tell people that all the time. Don't buy a gentle feast if you already have something. Like you can take what you already have and try to use it with Charlotte Mason's principles instead of if you already have this language arts thing that's taking 45 minutes to do, that's way too long. So maybe only do it for 15 minutes. Obviously, you're not going to do everything they have, but you probably shouldn't be anyway, right? Oh, I use the word should. It's not beneficial to do it all anyway. So just do the 15 minutes, focus on the key things and trust that your child is getting enough there. Or take, like what you're saying, take some great books, go get some great books from the library, read them, ask your child, tell me what this was about, or maybe even just do 1 page. Tell me what this was about. Have a discussion about it. And so if people are on this call and you're new to this, like over the summer, go get some books from the library, read them and talk about them and see if that makes a difference. See if you and your family like this approach before you like jump in and buy stuff. So I even have a summer morning time, which I actually is so precious because it's like nature-based. that has a great book list in the back that you could get and just start morning time. Like basically what that is, if you're not familiar, like we have songs and art and music and beautiful things for them to fill their minds with. And summer's the great time to try that and just see, is this a balm for my soul? Is this something that I want to keep going into before you make the leap? So I love that like idea of tiptoeing. I think that can be really wise. So since you are going on year 8,
Yes.
you will have been through all the cycles. So I think you'd be great to just share real fast, like, what did that mean? What are the cycles that a General Feast has set up in most Charlotte Mason, because that's how her programs were organized? And then what have you seen as the benefit of doing history that way?
Okay, so the cycle 1, 2, 3, 4 are their history-based cycles. Charlotte Mason felt like kids should know the history of their own country before they learn the history of other countries. And so 1st through 3rd grade only uses American history. It's all American history based, unless you're in Canada, and then it's Canadian history based. And then in 4th grade, a General Feast adds a stream of world or British history. And then in 5th grade, it adds an ancient history stream. And if you're new to Charlotte Mason, new to a General Feast, that you're like, what? We're doing 3 history streams? Like, that seems crazy. Shouldn't we stretch the hit? No, your kid can totally handle it. It is beautiful to see American history and world or British history lined up side by side as they go throughout history.
So it's like literally been my favorite part. I was like,
amazing. Like this.
Wait, George Washington and Mozart lived at the same time? I had no idea.
Yes, absolutely. And to see like how the different things in like how America was impacted by different things, like how did World War II impact America? And seeing those side by side is just beautiful. And it's brought up a lot of conversations, and I really feel like it's helped to develop our kids into citizens that realize that they're part of a globe and not just part of an America.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that they realize that the world is much bigger than we're in Indiana, their little town in Indiana. And that also that what we do as individuals really does have this ripple effect. It really does affect more than just ourselves. And that, I mean, that you can go lots of directions with that idea, but yeah.
So now so you went through cycles 1, 2, 3, 4, and now you did cycles 1, 2, 3. I don't even know what you're on, but so what happens then when your kids are older? Can you talk about that? And so you studied let's just pick one, early explorers, right?
Sure.
Early Native American history. And then 4 years later, you did it again. They're older, so they're doing totally different books here. It's not like they're doing the same exact thing. But what was the benefit of studying that same time period again?
So I think the real benefit is those harder concepts and those harder subject areas. Because if you're talking about early Native Americans, let's face it, they went through some tough stuff at the hands of some people that we've lauded as heroes. So I feel like the kids having experienced that at a younger age and then coming back to that again and hearing it again and being able to see a different person's perspective on that helps them to have a balanced view of those things that are within our own history. Some of those people and places and things that they're exposed to early, they don't have all the details, but then later on, those details are fleshed in, and it just expands their thoughts about that particular subject area. So I think that has been really beneficial for our kids.
Yeah, it's one of the things I really love. And I just think it was so wise because it's not like you're going to learn this one time and then we're never going to talk about it ever again. Rather than it's like, we're learning about this, we're laying this kind of foundation. And when they're younger, again, like you're reading picture books and they're just getting their imaginations filled with stories and ideas of these people and places. But then when they're like older and they already have that background information and it's in their minds, because again, it wasn't like recall where they learned it for a test and then they forgot. Through narration is part of them. It's part of their brain substance when you can go back and you can add on more difficult material, more in-depth information. They have something to actually hang that onto, which has just been so cool. Like when we did our island story, my kids thought this story about like William the Conqueror and how he had the stomach thing and he like blew up the coffin. Do you remember the story? Anyway, they thought it was hilarious. We still talk about it. Like we acted it out. We all got in a blanket and it blew up and it was so funny. But like, my one daughter is taking an AP Euro class this year. And so when we got to William the Conqueror, she was so excited to share with like her high school friend. She goes, oh my gosh, I know the coolest story about him. And they were all like, how do you know this? Yeah. Obviously it's not in their AP textbook or whatever, but it was like, she had that in the background of her mind from, I think she was 6 when we did that story, right? And now she's like actually learning about the feudal system and like how France coming over to England totally changed the country and like all the heavy stuff, like a college level, she can a college level class, but like now she has something to connect that to in a person.
Right.
And I love that's the way Charlotte Mason built that up.
Charlotte Mason talks about that science of relations and letting your kid connect all of those things together. And I feel in those early years, they're connecting those things together. And then in maybe the end of Form 3 and then Form 4, they're all connected. And now they're just settling in deeper and deeper. And it's just beautiful to see your kids develop that way.
Yeah. And I love too that in this, I'd love for you to touch on this with your kids and the age spread there of just studying the same time period together.
Yeah, I think it's great. Like, I love to watch my younger kids who are so excited about learning about Christopher Columbus or learning about American Revolutionary War, and then having those conversations with the older kids. And then my older kids are able to go, oh yeah, but did XYZ about that particular no, I didn't know that. Yeah, wait till you read such and such book, and then you'll get to learn more about that. And so it has helped, like I said before, it's helped just create this family culture around education, because education is a life. And so that's what A Gentle Feast helps us to provide, is a life of education for our kids, an environment of education for our kids, so that all of school, all of life is school, all of life is learning, and creating them into lifelong learners where they can see, oh, I have something valuable to contribute to this conversation because I've read about this before.
Yes. Yes. And even the little ones, I would be teaching or having a discussion with some of my older kids, and they would walk by and they would hear that name and they'd be like, I know who Phyllis Wheatley is.
Yep.
And they would come and join the conversation like, oh, listen to me. Like,
yeah.
I have something to contribute to. And it just goes back to the valuing each child as a person. And what you have to share is important, even if we're reading these really hard level high school textbooks talking about her, and then we're this cute little picture book, but what you have to say is important, and we want to hear you too, which is so cool.
Even beyond, we've talked a lot about the history aspect of A Gentle Feast, but even going to the morning time and having my younger kids memorizing poems that my older kids already have sitting in their heart. Cute. And my little boy will come up and he's like, mud, it's sticky on my feet. And then my older kids giggle and laugh and finish the poem with him. And then boom, they're connected together, a 6-year-old and a 17-year-old. Yeah. So it's just sweet. And sharing art together with the artist studies and seeing those different prints and recognizing oh yeah, I remember when we studied Picasso or whatever. Yeah. So it's just a joy.
That's so fun. Thank you so much for sharing with us today. And if you all have specific questions for April Ann, she is in the Facebook group and she's just a wealth of wisdom, seriously. So I appreciate that. If you're completely new to this, I'll send you the free class if you want to dive into Charlotte Mason deeper. If you've been in the circles for a while, I hope it has given you some encouragement for the remainder of the school year, right? It's so easy to get in the weeds and the details and the things that are hard and the things that we didn't do. And we lose sight of the big picture of like, why am I doing it this way? And just being able to hear everyone's stories have been so encouraging, and being able to, for me, even just my kids are laughing because like I look like I'm in college, like my whole dining room table has been covered in books like all week long. And just for me, even just to go back and read Charlotte Mason's words and just go, yes, this is why I've chosen this path. This is why this style of education is so important. And I hope that has offered you some food for thought and some encouragement this week as well. So thank you, everyone.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this episode, please heart it down below and make sure you subscribe so you never miss an episode. Leave a comment and let me know what you learned in today's episode. I'd love to hear from you.